Hey, what's up everybody? It's the one, the only Alcor Star Child here, the one from 72, the Ultra Neutral, and I would like to re-go over everything that I talked about yesterday in a video with 3i Atlas and all the interstellar objects that have come this way. In less than 10 years, we've had 3 different interstellar objects coming into the solar system, and I just want to explain how that can be a big problem for Earth and for this solar system to come, and that we should be aware of this and start paying attention to what's going on. I also made a prediction that we're definitely 100% getting another interstellar object coming. Of course, I call that 4i Havoc. Doesn't mean that that name is going to stick or have anything to do with what I say, but I think that the next one is going to be, when the next interstellar object does come into this atmosphere, it's going to be, it's going to raise the alarm bells. People are really going to start to take notice, and that's when the scientists and astrophysicists and all of them are going to start speaking more about what is going on. If these things aren't alien craft, then there's obviously a big problem that's happening with the solar system. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. As you can see up here, I have more interstellar objects equal trouble. And if you seen the board yesterday, there was less stuff than there's on here today. A friend of mine showed up yesterday, and he's highly intelligent. He also has a YouTube channel, and he talks a lot about astrophysicists, and he talks a lot about astrology and things like that, and just things here. He's traveled all over the world, you know, hunting down Anunnaki imagery and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why he came into my shop here. And so when I start talking about this subject with him, you know, he just gives me and him, we just go back and forth, boom, 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 boom. What about this? Why is this? Da, da, da. You know, and he understands a lot of different things in the science world with the planets and precession and all this and stuff. And so he may be making a video about that. If he does, I will link it so you guys can watch it. So this is what's happening here. Actually, let's look at this side of the board. You have the sun, right? And you have 8 planets. Now, I didn't put these planets, and there's going to be new information on here. So if you watched the video yesterday, there's going to be new information on here today, but I have to recap a couple of things briefly. You have the sun here with 8 planets going around it. Okay. I didn't put those like exactly how they're supposed to be. I just kind of set it up to where, you know, just an example. As you can see, the 8 planets that evolve around the sun. First of all, it takes Earth 365 days to get around the sun. So, and we count days on Earth by its full rotation. You know, it's got a full rotation, 24-hour cycle before it gets back all the way around, right? Well, that also has a cycle. The Earth does. It has a cycle of 365 days the year for it to go all the way around the sun, right? So you have Earth that makes its cycle, and then you know you have the day on Earth that makes its cycle, and then you have the year of Earth that makes its cycle around the entire sun. Well, this is exactly how the entire galaxy works. Obviously, we're here in Galaxy Cafe, Cambodia, so we're talking about the galaxy and planets and stuff. This is exactly how the galaxy works. It works exactly like that. This solar system does the same thing. The solar system makes its rotation around the Milky Way. And we're going to get into that because that's what me and, like I said, a friend of mine was talking about yesterday. That's the reason why this is up here. So you have 365 days it takes for the sun, for the Earth to make a full rotation around the sun. And then you have, for this solar system, it takes 250 million years for this solar system to go all the way around the Milky Way, right? Well, so that means that although people believe that the sun is a fixed point, people who haven't done the education on it yet, the sun is not in a fixed point. And it's spiraling, it's moving like this, and all the planets are going around it, and they're doing all this too. So there's constant motion that's happening. It never stops. There is no such thing as stillness. I explained that down here when I talk about the galaxies, right? So you have the universe, and then you have galaxies inside of the universe, okay? And then, well, this would be a universe, and inside here are galaxies inside of the universe, and they're all moving too. Everything is in motion. And then this is another universe over here. So we have 2 different universes. In between of this universe and that universe is this dead area. That is the only true stillness, and that is nothing. Obviously, as far as I understand, after my alien experience and stuff and things that I had, that unlocked my mind, which all the knowledge that I have, you all have the same thing. Nothing different happened. There's not like my brain changed or anything. All the knowledge that was unlocked for me through my alien encounter, you all have the same thing, just have to have it unlocked so you can understand things a little bit differently, or understand things actually much better and clearly. Not differently, just clearly. So the solar system is moving around the Milky Way, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute in the arms. First of all, let's get into when the first interstellar object that this generation of man has been able to document, because there's more than just one generation of man. That's in the Sumerian tablets and also other ancient literature. However, Oumuamua came here in 2017. That was the first interstellar object that man has tracked coming from outside of this solar system into the solar system. By the way, you have 8 planets inside the solar system, and you observe 88 constellations. That gives you an 888 phenomena for those of you who are into the numerology and understanding and following the numbers. 8 planets, 88 constellations, 888. Okay, so when Oumuamua came into the solar system, it raised big time alarm bells off in NASA and all the astronomers all over the world, because it was something that they never have seen before, as an interstellar object coming into the solar system, right? It was the first time. That was 2017. 2 years later, they had another one come in. That one was called Boris. Now, Boris didn't get as much attention as Oumuamua because Oumuamua was the first. Boris was the second, kind of like a middle child. The first child's always the one that everybody talks about. That's my first child. The second one comes in, you're like, oh yeah, we got a second child. But 6 years later after that, we have 3-eye Atlas. So we have a big problem here, and I'm going to explain why it's a big problem. There is no synchrony of when these interstellar objects are coming into our solar system, right? You have 2017 with Oumuamua. 2 years later comes Boris, which is the second interstellar object. And then 6 years later, there is 3-eye Atlas. In other words, the next one could be here in 2027, could be on its way here in 2027 or 2029. We don't know, so you can't gauge. Like if it was in 2 years increments, then we can sit there and we can more understand of getting prepared of, okay, so we're due for another interstellar object to come this way, but we don't know because it's not set, and we don't have a set, pattern. This is very sporadic, very offbeat. And it's an anomaly that's happening in this solar system right now. So here's the other big problem, big issue with this. The Oumuamua that came here in 2017, it came from the Lyra constellation. Okay, so we monitor that, we track that, we say, okay, where did this thing come from? It came from the Lyra, it came from the direction of Lyra. And then the second one, Boris, comes from the Cassiopeia constellation. Okay, so we track that, so that's not Lyra, that's Cassiopeia, so that's a different direction that's coming. And then the third one comes from the Sagittarius constellation. This is a big problem because now you have 3 anomalies coming in from different directions. And if you see here on the board where I already drew yesterday, let's say that, and this is not accurate. This is just throwing something up there so you guys can kind of follow along. Let's say that Oumuamua, we'll put this as 1 eye, came in from this direction, okay? And then we had Boris, which was 2 eye, came in from this direction. And then we had Sagittarius, or the 3-eye Atlas coming from the Sagittarius from this direction. So now we have a major problem because we're not able to track in time whether they're going to be like every 2 years and what direction they're coming from. They're coming from different directions. This is why I call the next one that's going to be coming here, and it will happen. There will be another one, and it will be soon. I say we should call that one, and whether or not, I'm calling it 4-eye Havoc, because the next one is going to really, I think that one's going to alarm the entire planet. And I don't think it's going to be alone. I think 4-eye Havoc is going to be followed with maybe 5, 6, or 12 different interstellar objects. Right now, we're only getting 1, 2, and 3 every few years here. What happens when the next one comes through and they say, hey, we see another one coming, you know, we're going to call that one 4i whatever. Somebody who's popular, famous, or whatever will be able to name it and get a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever the hell, or some type of award or something. Nobody's talking about this as far as I know. I'm the only one talking about this. But when the next one comes, they're going to say, hey, there's another one coming, blah, blah. And then the person will be all happy to see this one come. Where's it going? What's the direction? And then behind that, they're going to see a bunch more coming. And that's when it's going to be big alarm bells are going to go off. And people are going to say, hey, pump the brakes. What's going on? Is Earth in trouble? Yes, absolutely 100%. Now, I'm not a fear monger and I don't want people to be afraid, but I want you to be prepared, open your mind, and understand what's happening. It's not to say that, you know, there aren't going to be some alien entities that aren't going to get involved to try to save Earth from, you know, being peppered with asteroids that are coming from wherever, or that the AI is not going to be advanced enough to figure out how to, you know, solve this problem with all these asteroids coming from these different directions. Now, let me explain why this is happening, right? I haven't heard the astrophysicists or anybody or NASA explain why Oumuamua came here, or why Cassiopeia, or why Boris or Three-Eye Atlas had come here. I'm going to tell you why it's happening. Okay, and I'm gonna have to erase this board. I'm gonna use a little bit of magic here in a minute, and I'm gonna erase the board, and then I'm gonna break it down so it makes more sense to you, show you the Milky Way and how this is happening to this solar system right now. Before I do get into that, you can see here where we have 27 million years. And then in every 27 million years, there's this passing with the solar system, which is, like I said, my friend was explaining yesterday. And it's just funny, he talks about how it's a 27 million years. I'm like, that's bizarre, because we all know about, well, not everybody, but there's a 27 club. And if you take 27, you reverse it, you have 72. I won't get too much deep into that today. Just going to stick to just this. If you want to hear more about that stuff, it'll be on the next video, maybe coming. And so, yeah. Anyhow, let's get rid of this stuff. Okay, and just like that, that's the best I can do for solar system. Sorry, guys, I'm not really an artist in that respects. However, and I hope you can see this clearly, this is the center of the Milky Way. This is the best I could do. But this is the center of the Milky Way here, and then these are the arms that stretch out from the center. In those arms are planets, right? Well, actually, we're just going to go solar systems. There's solar systems inside of these arms. Billions of solar systems inside of these arms. And this is not accurate, so forgive me. I am not doing an accurate job here. I'm just da-da-da-da-da-da. So we have, these are like maybe smaller solar systems here, smaller solar systems here, okay? So you have all of these solar systems that are going in this pinwheel, in this circle, right? Everything is in motion. Earth is in motion, obviously, and if you didn't watch my other video, I explained time and time travel in there, but I will explain time briefly, just real fast to touch up on that. Time is motion, okay? Earth has its full rotation of a day. It has its full rotation of a year going around the sun. The solar system has its full rotation going around the entire Milky Way. So that's they call that a year for for our galaxy, this solar system to go around the galaxy, right? It could be a year for a highly more advanced being could say that for them is a day. So let that sink in. Earth's rotation is a second. And the solar system that you're in is literally like an hour for them, right? So the whole full rotation, let that sink in, and how powerful some beings are and how more advanced they are. A full rotation of the solar system could be literally 1 day for them. However, the humans measure that as a year. They measure the sun going around, which is 365 days before it gets around the Earth, is a year. And then you have, like I said, the solar system, they call that a full year. So what we have here, here's the problem. We're in constant motion, okay? This solar system is now catching up with other objects and picking up objects from other solar systems. And like my friend was saying, I was saying that we were, you know, going into them, and he said, no, we're catching it. To him, it would seem more like we're catching the stuff that's fallen behind. So when we see Three-Eye Atlas Boris and Oumuamua, those are objects that are actually left behind. We're going through them. They're not really particularly going through us. This whole pinwheel that we call the Milky Way, that whole pinwheel right there is in constant motion. And so this solar system, then it takes 250 million years to get all the way around. But obviously, at some time, this time, we are now starting to pick up other objects from other solar systems. That's why we're getting stuff from Sagittarius, Cassiopeia, and Lyra system. Different systems, because these are things that are getting dropped off and left behind from other systems. So they're doing this, they're coming this way here, they're coming this way here, and then here's our solar system right here, and it's picking up these objects coming here. Now, we're at just a perfect time when we're going to be picking up much more, right? Because this is eventually you have to get there, right? Just so happens that it's 2025 for Earth when we're getting there. We're getting to the point where we're going to start picking up a whole bunch of objects coming towards this solar system, and that could be a big problem. I explain more about how AI can fix this problem in the future. I'll make a whole video just on AI. I think it deserves its own video to explain that to people, so people get rid of all the fear and the nonsense with it. I also explained time travel, and that was another thing I explained in that video, and I'll make another video just on time travel. But for right now, this is why that we're picking up these objects. I know a lot of people were hoping that these are alien-controlled craft. In fact, Oumuamua didn't just come at Earth. It came, and if for those of you who don't know, Oumuamua came in a direction like this and it went in a direction like that. And that's the reason why people said, hey, this is an interstellar object that we've never seen before, and it just did something that is nothing like any comets. It did not just come at Earth. So just to call it just a comet makes it kind of suspicious that it went that way, but we don't know. And that's another thing too. When you have all of these, like I said, when the next one's coming through, what I call Four-Eye Havoc, when that comes through and other ones come behind it, those may clash with other asteroids and even if they cause problems on other planets, you may think that, well, something happens to other planets, no big deal for us on Earth in this solar system. That's not true. If Mars is affected, it causes problems for Earth. If Saturn is affected, it causes problems for Mars and Earth. So it's just going to be a chain reaction. Plus, you got to understand that the way that the system works, right? So let's say that a couple of these big interstellar objects hit, let's say Venus, right? Breaks open, breaks apart big chunks off of Venus, right? So you're still going in motion because the solar system is going like this in a circle, and that means that Earth is going to be picking up pieces of Venus that are going to come flying off of it. So these 8 planets are literally in sync with each other. They have to be. Once one gets out of sync and something happens to one of your planets, it's going to cause a chain reaction for the rest of the solar system. Everyone is going to be affected. And I just lost my grandma. Not grandma. So big problems coming this way with the next interstellar object. I predict that that's going to be the one that the humans are going to be more starting to pay attention to what's going on, what's really happening. I don't want people to be alarmed about it. I want you to be prepared. I want you to know that there is always a way out. There's always a way out. There's always a solution to a problem, and there's a solution to this problem coming. But first, we got to identify the problem. It's like having cancer and never knowing that you have cancer until it's already too late, and then there are no solutions, and next thing you know, you're in a deathbed. A couple weeks later, you're gone. You didn't prepare because you didn't do regular checkups to find out if you had cancer. Now, for me, this would be the Cancer watch. The next one to come here will be from the Cancer constellation, right? For me, the Cancer is not paying attention, not being prepared. We can see that there's a pattern of no pattern, right? 2 years between the first and second, and then 6 years after the second one to Three-Eye Atlas, and then we have different directions. There is sporadicy. That's something that just doesn't make any sense, like the word I just used, but you know, hey, this is something to think about.